Hello, welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Fidelia Aguncha. Nigeria's gross domestic product has slowed by 0.16% to 2.11% in the first quarter of 2018. Now, this is according to data released by the National Bureau of Statistics on Monday. It is the first time the country's economy will be recording a decline since its exit from recession last September. Now, despite the negatives, the economy still grew by 1.95% year-on-year in the first quarter of 2018. This shows a stronger growth when compared with the first quarter of 2017, which recorded a growth of 0.91%. Now, the data comes less than a week after the National Assembly passed the 2018 budget into law. The lawmakers increased the figure from 8.6 trillion naira presented by President Buhari to 9.1 trillion naira. Expected GDP growth in that document is 3.5%, while expected inflation rate is 12.4%. The trial of Metu, a former publicity secretary of the opposition People's Democratic Party, has been adjourned to May 22nd. This is after the spokesman collapsed in court on Monday. Metu is facing trial for alleged diversion of 400 million naira received from the office of the former National Security Advisor, Sambo Dasuki. On Monday, his doctor testified in the trial to explain why Metu, needs to be flown abroad for treatment. Tunji Olanikbekun has the rest of the story.
Cross-examination of witnesses in the ongoing trial of former PDP National Publicity Secretary Metu was stalled on Monday again because Metu slipped and fell down in the courtroom while attempting to enter the witness box. The court was forced to go on a recess for about 25 minutes while medical doctors from the Federal High Court Health Facility were called to assess the situation. The doctor recommended that Metu be allowed for proper medical examination in the hospital. Justice Okon Aban, after the recess, intends to continue the sitting. At this time, counsel to Metu, Emeka Etiaba SAN, told the court that he will withdraw from the case.
When the first defendant was called, as was customary before today, he made his way to the dock. And probably the judge saw the difficulty he was encountering going to the dock, which was about 2 steps away from where he sat. I'm trying to be very graphic. 2 steps away from the dock was where he sat. He had made a second step. It was just for him to enter the dock, and he now turned because he now had the judge saying, "Go back and sit." As he was turning, what I now found was that he was on the floor. The court excused itself and went in, and when the court resumed, the court sought to know the testimonies of the court clerks and the registrar. And after announcement of appearances, I sought to also give my own version of what happened, because the sequence of what happened was not what the court officials actually said. Medical personnel from the Federal High Court was invited, and 2 nurses and a medical doctor came in at the instance of the court. The court registrar invited them, and all this while Chief Metu was on the floor, and he was actually in pain, shouting, and the doctors examined him, and as they were still examining him, the court made its way back to court. And then, after announcing appearances and all protocols, the court said we should go on with the trial. The court insisted that I should call my witness. I called my witness, and I said to the court, at this point, I'll withdraw from this trial because I cannot be representing a man whose health status I don't know. I don't know whether he's alive or he's dead.
Prosecuting counsel Silvanus Chaha did not object to the adjournment for Metu to get proper medical treatment.
I understand the frustration of everybody in this matter. After the last proceedings, this case was adjourned for today, Monday 21st, up to Friday. Here we are with a situation on ground. As you must have witnessed, if you were in court earlier on when the case was called, the defendant attempted making his way into the dock, but the judge, seeing that he was using a walking aid, publicly announced that the defendant should remain where he was without attempting to enter the dock. But I think he He had made up his mind to go into the dock, and along the way, he slipped and fell down. So when I was asked if I was opposed to what the medical doctor said, of course, as a prosecutor, I owe this trial the highest sense of responsibility as a prosecutor. The Administration of Criminal Justice Act is clear. A defendant can only stand trial while he's before the court.
Justice Okon Aban took a swipe on Emeka Itaba for being rude to the court and adjourned the matter to Tuesday, 22nd of May, 2018. From Abuja, Tunji Olanipekun, TV360 News.
The trial of 9 current and former executives of all major ENI and Royal Dutch Shell over a $1.3 billion oil deal in Nigeria will begin in Milan on June 20. The 9 executives are facing charges for paying bribes to secure a license to explore a large offshore oil field in 2011. The long-running graft case revolves around the 2011 purchase of ENI by ENI and Shell of Nigeria's oil prospecting license 245 for about $1.3 billion. Milan prosecutors allege that bribes were paid to win the license to explore the oil block that holds an estimated 9 billion barrels of oil. The opposition People's Democratic Party (PDP) is accusing the Buhari-led administration of fraud in its handling of the oil subsidy issue. The party, in a statement over the weekend, challenged President Buhari to submit himself for an independent inquest into his own handling of the 1.4 trillion naira oil subsidy regime. It also asked him to clear himself of alleged complicity in other exposed financial impropriety by associates of his government, particularly in revenue-collecting agencies. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachuku, recently announced that the annual expenditure on fuel subsidy has risen to over 1.4 trillion naira. While the federal government has not formally said it is paying for fuel subsidy, it has consistently pushed the explanation of how public funds are spent to subsidize fuel consumption to the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC), the state-owned outlet. The Lagos State Police Command on Monday paraded a medical doctor, Michael Williams, for offences ranging from stealing, cybercrime, and acquisition under false pretense. The 27-year-old was arraigned alongside some suspected armed robbers, cultists, and kidnappers arrested in various locations in Lagos State. At a press briefing at the command headquarters Ikeja, the State Commissioner of Police, Imohimi Edgo, also highlighted what the command is doing to curb insecurity in the state.
On 23/3/2018, my office received a complaint that there exists a syndicate that goes to car shops to buy exotic cars. They thereafter configure a computer program that will send a fake payment alert to the seller. The seller, upon receiving this alert, verifies the alert either through ATM or through internet banking, confirms the alert, and then releases the car to the syndicate. This was exactly the case with one Abiogun Adewale, whose car shop played host to the leader of this syndicate, whose name is Michael Thompson Williams. He bought a Porsche car at a whopping price of 28 million naira. He thereafter requested for the seller's bank account number and originated a fake alert to the phone of the seller using the http://tunnel.com. The car dealer, upon receiving the alert and verifying the alert, now handed over the Porsche car valued at 28 million to the suspect. And the suspect drove away with the vehicle. However, when the car dealer eventually now went to his bank for his statement of account subsequently, it was discovered that that alert and transfer of 28 million naira to his account was only a fake electronic transfer. And that money did not actually register in his account. So based on this, he lodged a complaint to the Lagos State Police Command. And of course, I instructed undercover operatives to do everything necessary to track down this syndicate headed by one Michael Thompson Williams. Eventually, the suspect was arrested somewhere in Lekki, Lagos.
The Nigerian army has cleared itself of allegations of conspiracy leveled against it by a former Minister of Defense, Theophilus Danjuma. Danjuma had earlier this year accused the army of colluding with bandits to kill civilians in Taraba State. The military initially dismissed the allegations but later set up a panel to investigate the claims. The panel has now submitted its report, which has been approved by the Army headquarters. The report cleared troops of enemy misconduct and instead blamed the killings in Taraba State on political interference.
Army headquarters comments. It is apparent that the clashes in Taraba State are a result of clan and communal crisis that predates this present government. Most of the crises in Taraba State are politically motivated, and some persons are deliberately escalating the situation in Taraba State for selfish gains. With respect to the statement by Lieutenant General T.Y. Danjuma, retired, it is clear that the allegations were not true. Hence, there's a need to urge for caution in view of the security implication of such comments. The Nigerian Army is also of the view that the situation in Taraba State has steadily deteriorated, largely due to distrust, intolerance, lack of inclusion, and accommodation of different ethnic groups in the state. This situation has made it very difficult for the Nigerian Army to carry out its responsibilities in the state without being tainted. Consequently, all sides in Taraba State need to be cautioned against making inflammatory statements that are detrimental to peace and security. The Nigerian Army, in keeping with its roles as enshrined in the Nigerian Constitution, will continue to engage stakeholders in Taraba State to find a lasting solution to crisis in the state. There is also a need for the Nigerian police force and other prosecuting agencies to prosecute all the suspects arrested in Taraba State for involvement in various crimes. It is the opinion of the Army headquarters that the investigation panel did a thorough job. The Army headquarters therefore upholds the recommendations of the panel. The general public is enjoined to note that the Nigerian Army is a formidable institution and the pride of the nation. The Army will not rest on its oars when responding to the security challenges in the country. In synergy with other security agencies, the Nigerian Army will continue to work towards ensuring that the security and territorial integrity of our nation is guaranteed.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo is advocating the participation of private security organizations for effective security of the nation and to generate employment for the masses. The former leader, who was speaking at a security summit in Lagos, lamented that the current security situation in the country is growing worse by the day. Obasanjo said the past government employed different security personnel, which included the paramilitary, alongside the Nigerian police, Navy, and the Nigerian Army.
The security situation in the country was not as bad as it is today. That is the truth. And yet, at that time, we did what we had to do to improve the Army, the Navy, the Air Force. We have the police. Then we started having paramilitary. They were not paramilitary before. Then we started making them paramilitary. Civil defense itself. You know, they got themselves together, not recognized, and they were doing wonderful work without being paid, without being organized, without being established. One of the jobs that they took up for themselves that time was protection of the pipelines, where the police have failed, where the military have failed, and they took it up on themselves and they were doing a good job. We are providing employment. We are providing security. You are also providing assurance in a way that the private people who make use of you can go to bed and sleep. There's no doubt that the private security institutions can contribute to some level of employment generation.
Which held in Abeokuta is the chairman, ASIS Nigeria Chapter 206, Oluwaseyi Adetayo, who emphasized on the need for the review of the present NSCDC law.
We are here for us to be able to build capacity, and most importantly, because the function that the role we perform is very, very key and important. And as threats are evolving, we need also to develop capability and capacity to be able to meet up with all these challenges. Most importantly, we are also here to sit down and look at how we can contribute to the security architecture of Nigeria. It is not gainsaying to say that we are a critical sector within the security architecture of Nigeria. And like I said during the question and answer, that we are the largest employer of labor. And that is the truth. There is no community, there is no community facility or asset that is not having somebody somewhere that is securing them. We are more than the teachers, we are more than any other profession that you can actually think of. And it is important that the capacity of this industry, if properly harnessed, will add a lot of value to Nigeria as a whole and to the security of this nation.
The Lagos State government has promised to eradicate environmental pollution in the state through recycling of plastic bags and other waste products. Speaking at an event hosted by a group of environmental activists over the weekend, the special advisor to the Lagos State Governor on Cleaner Lagos initiative, Rashid Shabi, said the government is setting 57 different centers in the state where used plastic will be recycled into energy. He said plastic bags and other waste products has been a hindrance to water transportation in the state. Shabi also said the initiative will create numerous jobs with a pay higher than the minimum wage for Lagosians.
You know, I did mention when I was talking there that part of the components of the Cleaner Lagos initiative is the issue of recycling and turning our waste to energy. Right. You see, when you talk of recycling, from the waste you generate, what you consider as waste, they are resource to other people, right? So your plastics that you think you are throwing away, I can make use of them, recycle them, and get some other byproducts of this, right? I can use them to make winter jackets. I can use them to make, after recycling, fibers. I can use them to make bags. I can use them to make umbrellas. I can even turn that, you know, they're biodegradable. I can even use that to make furnitures, even bricks. road construction. You understand what I'm saying? So there are a lot of things you can turn those plastics to. So, and the government is encouraging that we should start sorting our waste from source. I told you our projection, our target is 27,500. As of today, we've been able to employ over 15,000, remaining 12,500. And before the end of the year, definitely we will have accomplished the 27,500. So be rest assured, all the 27,500 will have been engaged before the end of the year 2018.
You're watching News Now on TV360. Up next is Business News.
Corruption not in my country.
Madam, madam, welcome. Okay, madam, no worry. When you deliver the balance, we'll give you the goods.
No problem, no problem. All right, so now well done.
Thank you. Hey, Oga, I still say she don't bring money. Maybe we use this one for him now. She wants mahogany, not white wood. Oga, our work now to join wood together, deliver whatever to customer, put the remaining profit for pocket.
Abba, this is corruption, not in my country. Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Corruption not in my country.
Now, yeah?
Yes, Oga.
Okay.
Where I go come find 300 naira change?
I better try look for change now. Don't they do business? Hey, Timmy. Ade, bro. I be. I beg, give me 200 naira. Make I take sort out this guy. If let's say no get change.
Take it, give us.
I said 200.
Give her 100 naira.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree to pay 200.
How much you think they carry people from that place we carry on the chair?
Oga.
No, they touch me.
Now 100 naira. He agreed to pay.
Because that was what you said was the fair. Why you not go pay you? Why you they extort your customer? You see this corruption, what would they hear for news? They see for people everywhere. Now be this so. This is corruption, not in our country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Devese, welcome to Business News. The Central Bank of Nigeria says the China currency swap deal will not cover the importation of the 41 items already blacklisted from the official foreign exchange. Isaac Okorafor, the bank's acting director, corporate communications, made this known in an interview with newsmen on Sunday. He said this will ensure that the currency deal does not stifle local companies and make Nigeria a dumping ground for Chinese goods. The CBN recently signed a bilateral currency swap agreement with the People's Republic of China worth 720 billion naira. In 2015, the bank said it would not provide forex for the importation of 41 items in order to ensure the efficient utilization of forex and encourage local production. Now, some of the items blacklisted are rice, cement, poultry, tinned fish, furniture, toothpicks, kitchen utensils, tableware, textiles, clothes, tomato paste, soap, and cosmetics. Royal Dutch Shell said on Monday a declaration of force majeure remained in place on shipments of Nigerian Bunny light crude oil. Now, Shell's Nigerian subsidiary, that's Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria, said on May 17 that it had declared force majeure on exports of Bunny light following a shutdown on the Nembe Creek trunk line stream. Exports of Bunny light are expected to run at around 195,000 barrels per day from next month, making it Nigeria's third largest crude oil stream behind Forcados and Kwa Ibo. Oil prices rose on Monday as markets reacted to news that China and the United States have put on hold a looming trade war between the world's two biggest economies. Brent crude futures were at $79.06 per barrel, while U.S. crude futures were at $71.71 a barrel, up 43 cents. However, crude prices were some way off the November 2014 highs, which were recorded last week, as many traders and analysts say there is enough supply to meet demand despite the ongoing production cuts led by the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, plunging output, increased crisis-struck Venezuela, and looming U.S. sanctions against major oil producer Iran. Last, it announced news of the resumption of trading in the shares of Ikeja Hotel PLC, which was suspended on November 10, 2016. The Nigerian Stock Exchange opened another week on a negative note as the bears remained in the market following Friday's bearish run, with Flour Mills of Nigeria, Guaranty Trust Bank, Stanbic IBTC, and First Bank of Nigeria Holdings leading the percentage laggards. The all-share index depreciated by 0.12%, recording a 17 million naira loss from Friday's dealings. Now leading the percentage gainers, Forte Oil gained the most from today's activities as it recorded a 4.90% rise in its share price to close at 40 naira 65 kobo. Nigerian breweries, Unilever, and Ecobank Transnational Incorporated also made top four, recording gains of 0.41%, 1%, and 1.94% respectively. Meanwhile, stocks of African Alliance Insurance Company, Fidelity Bank, Diamond Bank, and Guaranty Trust Bank were most patronized by investors. The equities market closed the day's session, recording a total of 271.274 million shares being transacted in 4,052 deals. Well, that's business news. Thank you for watching. We will be right back.
Corruption not in my country.
Now, yeah.
Yes, Oga. Okay. Where I go come find 300 naira change?
I better try look for change now. When they do business. Hey, Timmy. I did, bro. I be. I beg, give me 200 naira. Make I take sort out this guy. If no get change.
Take it, give us.
I said 200.
Give her 100 naira.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree to pay 200.
How much you think they carry people from that place we carry on the chair?
Okay.
No, they touch me.
Now 100 naira. He agreed to pay.
Because that was what you said was the fair. Why you not go pay you? Why you they extort your customer? You see this corruption, what would they hear for news? They see for people everywhere. Now be this so. This is corruption, not in our country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Corruption not in my country.
Madam. Madam, welcome. Okay, madam, no worry. When you deliver the balance, we'll give you the goods.
No problem, no problem. All right, so now well done.
Thank you. Hey, Oga, I still say she don't bring money. Maybe we'll use this one for her now.
She wants mahogany, not white wood.
Oga, our work now to join wood together, deliver whatever to customer. Put the remaining profit for pocket.
This is corruption, not in my country. Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Welcome back. Nicolas Maduro has been declared winner of Venezuela's presidential election, which held on Sunday. The poll, which was marred by a low turnout, has however been rejected by the country's opposition, who boycotted the election. They're now calling for fresh elections to be held later this year. Now, the controversial election, which hands Maduro a second term until 2025, has also been condemned by the international community. The official result gave Maduro 67.7% of the vote, with Falcon a distant second at 21.2%, and Javier Batusi, who pulled around 11%. A Zimbabwe Parliament committee has summoned former President Robert Mugabe to give evidence on Wednesday about diamond corruption alleged to have cost billions of dollars during his rule. Mugabe, who was ousted from office in November after a brief military takeover, has not commented on whether he will appear before the committee. A parliamentary notice for May 23rd was released on Monday. Despite repeated calls for the cancellation of a friendly match between Nigeria and DR Congo on May 28, the Nigerian government has insisted that the game will go ahead. The southern country is currently battling a new outbreak of Ebola, which has killed 26 people. Now, despite fears of the virus reaching Nigeria, Sports Minister Solomon Dalong has insisted that the game, which is a pre-World Cup friendly for the Eagles, will go on as scheduled. Speaking with State House correspondents after a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari on Monday, Dalong said the Nigerian government has concluded plans to screen all DR Congo players before allowing them access into the country.
Well, I saw the president this morning to brief him on the level of progress recorded so far in the preparation for the World Cup, and to also update him about the performance of the country at the recently concluded Commonwealth Games in Australia. For the Commonwealth Games, I updated the president that the country came back with 9 golds, 9 silver and 6 bronze. And the team actually conducted itself very well. We returned to the country safely. I also informed the president that we have decided to embark on bringing in younger talents so that to prepare them for the Olympics. And most of our athletes in Australia were younger athletes. And I also briefed him about the World Cup, the friendlies we've played so far, the ones we won and the one we lost. And I briefed the president further about further engagement in the friendlies we have ahead. And the need for the president to mobilize more support for the team, and about the approved budget, I informed him that we have not gotten the releases and he has to intervene. Nigeria is going to play the friendly with DRC, and it's part of the briefing because I have discussed with the Federal Minister of Health, with the World Health Organization in participation. We will review the situation and receive adequate report about it. So we agreed on major approaches as one. The DRC team is coming through a chartered flight, and so those coming for the match will be using that chartered flight, and they will have to be screened from DRC, and they'll be screened here in Nigeria. There is going to be any other person that is going to be admitted using any other means of transportation to come for the match. We also discovered that, well, the Ebola outbreak in DRC is limited to a particular place and it has not escalated.
Spanish coach Julian Lopetegui has left Chelsea's Alvaro Morata, Cesc Fabregas and Marcos Alonso out of his 23-man squad for the World Cup in Russia, but included Arsenal left-back Nacho Monreal. Morata, who scored 5 goals in qualifying, had been a regular in Lopetegui's squad until March, when he was dropped after losing his starting place at Chelsea. Alonso was widely tipped to make the squad after impressing this season in the Premier League. He had 7 goals in 33 league starts, but Lopetegui decided to take Monreal, who plays the same position. Rafael Nadal regained the #1 spot ahead of the French Open in the world rankings on Monday after winning his 8th Rome Masters title. The victory saw Nadal overtake Roger Federer, who is not playing the clay court season this year, and former #1 Novak Djokovic continued his fall, slipping 4 places to 22nd. Well, that's it on News Now. You can watch some of our other programs by logging on to our website, www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also watch us live on Facebook at facebook.com/TV360online, and we are on Twitter at twitter.com/TV360Nigeria. We are also live on YouTube at youtube.com/TV360 360 Nigeria, and you can also get us on Google+, and our handle is TV360 Nigeria. Thank you so much for watching. I am Fidelia Aguncha. Bye for now.